Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 Big 12 season predictions from yours truly, Jackson Johnson, and my partner in crime, Austin Williams from Sports Talk with Austin, as we go over our take on what the 2025 Big 12 season predictions look like. And let me tell you something, it's going to be a wild ride. Can
hmm
Arizona State repeat as champs, or does Kansas say something about it? Can BYU win it despite not having Jake Retzlaff? We'll see for sure. Is there another worse to first team? Tune in. How you doing
hmm
tonight, good buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, Jackson. I'm excited to start our journey on the predictions. And we're starting off with the Big 12. We're starting in the conference where literally anybody can win it. Like, so I'm excited to look at these predictions that we've come up with and kind of talk through them. I think it's going to be an interesting process. I think, the fans, hopefully they'll enjoy it and see how much we think alike and how much we don't. I love doing these every year, especially comparing them. And I can't wait to get into it. But before we do that, though, Jackson, there was some news that came across the Twitter, across the college sports world that I think's worth acknowledging. And and we won't get into the political side of it too much because this is very controversial. But President Trump has signed a college sports executive order that prohibits third-party pay-for-play payments to college athletics, titled President Donald J. Trump Saves College Sports. And the article right there, which we will pull up. But first, so Jackson, this came across the screen a couple days ago, and a lot of people were very happy about it. And then there were some that was very, very like, Trump is doing this, Trump is doing that. But looking at this from the college football level, not the president or getting into any deep politic weeds, what do you think of this, Jackson?
I get nervous when I see like a lot of politicians getting involved in the sports world, but I do
hmm
know like for those that really tuned into the history, like we've always seen like a lot of U.S. presidents get involved in the world of college football. Like when you see
hmm
Richard Nixon at the 1969 Texas Arkansas game, or his successor Gerald Ford, played college football at University of Michigan, or you see Trump has been at Alabama LSU 2019. Last year was at Alabama Georgia, and he's really been like a figure in the sports world, so to speak.
hmm
He said he had a lot to do with the 2020 season comeback for the Big Ten when COVID happened, or when you look back at the UFL or the USFL in the 80s, where he tried getting it up there, tried to make it to the next AFL, but didn't work
hmm
out. But
hmm
Dave Valensky makes a good point where he talks about Obama doing the bracket for college basketball. Like I always like look forward to watching those like on ESPN. I thought that was pretty cool seeing president doing that. But yeah, like that's the thing though. I, I'm always curious to see what's in the rest of the bill. Like
hmm
I honestly, I'm interested to see what's going on with everything.
Well, Jackson, I'm so glad you brought that up because I'm going to pull up the article right here, and we're going to look at it. Let me pull this up
Yeah,
because I
Bert
think
says
this
he's
is,
not a Trump guy, but he's glad he's doing this.
well, Burton, and this is the thing about this too, is, we're going to try to look at this more from a college sports lens and try to, I understand the president being involved and all that can make it a sloppy situation. But, you know, the thing about this is too, I think more people are going to like this than they're going to dislike it, in my opinion, because honestly, it's giving back what we love. It's it's bringing back what we loved. So here's the
Oh,
article, and I'll kind of read through just
there it is.
kind of read through it a little bit. With President Donald Trump signs the executive order relating to college sports. President Trump signed an executive order on Thursday that will prohibit third-party pay-for-play payments and directs the Secretary of Labor and the National Labor Relations Board to clarify that athletes are amateurs and not employees. The White House announced, titled Save College Sports. The executive order delivers on multiple items for which the NCAA has recently lobbied to Congress. The NCAA and the Power Five leaders have long pursued congressional action on the Capitol Hill, most recently with the introduction of SCORE ACT in the House. The executive order prohibits third-party pay-for-play, but does not apply to legislation fair market value composition that a third party provides to an athlete, such as for a brand endorsement. According to the White House release, it is unknown what entity will have the authority to enforce the prohibition of third-party pay for payments, including in Trump's executive orders. An executive order stemlines for some of the top items on the NCAA's wish list. The order requires the preservation and where the possibility expansion of opportunities for scholarships and collegiate athletic competition in women's and non-revenue sports. The NCAA is making positive changes for student athletes and confronting many challenges facing college sports by mandating health and wellness benefits, guaranteeing scholarships, but there are some threats to college sports that federal legislation can effectively address, and the association is advocating with student athletes and their schools for big parts solutions with Congress and the administration. NCAA President Charlie Baker said in a statement, the association appreciates the Trump administration on focus on the life-changing opportunities college sports provides millions of young people. We look forward to working with student athletes on a, I don't know how you say that word, coalition in Congress and the Trump administration to enhance college sports for years to come.
Yeah, bipartisan coalition.
Bipartisan. See, Jackson, that's why you get paid the big bucks and I don't. But in all seriousness. So that's kind of the rundown of the order there. So after hearing all that, Jackson, are you happy Trump put pen to paper, or what went through your mind?
I'm on wait and see mode. I'm gonna see how this turns out first. But at the same time, I know a lot of people have had a lot of discussions about how college football has become the wild, wild west with NIL. So maybe this can put a stop to random deal here or there, backroom alley dealing business. So we'll wait and see what happens. And Trojan Fight says it sounds good on paper, but I have my doubts how effective it will be.
I don't like to admit it, but I think he's got a point, because on paper, Jackson, this all sounds good. This sounds like this is going to be great. We're getting the game back that we love, and that we're trying to even the playing field. But as we know, Jackson, throughout history, there will always be those teams or coaches that'll do the behind your back, or, hey, I'll sneak this in. And it's just like, I really think too, Jackson, like, whatever you want to say about President Trump, good, bad, or ugly, he is trying to help college sports. Like, he cares about it. I know people think he doesn't care about America, or he doesn't, and I'm not going to sit here on a soapbox and say President Trump's great, we all love him, but you can see the man truly cares. He's trying to do something before it's too late. So, like, that's where I kind of stand on it. I'm like you, Jackson. We'll wait and see. I mean, a lot can happen, but it's a wait and see kind of thing.
I just wonder what loopholes are in this agreement, so to speak, because I know there's always going to be somebody trying to exploit some kind of loophole.
I agree. And Timothy Green brings up an interesting point. I think if there is money to be made, that is part of the reason that the presidents get involved. That's my only opinion.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with that. I can understand why you think that way, Timothy. Like, as Jackson's favorite saying is everyone in the government is shady. Can't trust none of them, as Jackson likes to say. But I mean, it's very interesting. I mean, it's a very slippery slope. I will say this: if Trump is trying to save college sports, this is a good step in that direction. Do you have any other thoughts you want to give on it, Jack? Before we move on to our predictions.
I've got no other words for it, but all I could say is I guess we will wait and see what happens. Good, bad, or ugly.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I'll be talking a little more
Exactly.
about this.
Good.
I know I'll be talking a little more about this on the Alabama channel. I'm kind of like, oh man,
Yes.
now I got to talk about political figures on the Alabama channel. All right, I'll do it.
But here's the thing, Jackson. Just like us, you could keep it tasteful, though. We kept it tasteful. We didn't talk about it too long. But now, let's talk about something everyone loves and everyone can agree upon. And that's
Yes.
predicting the 2020-25 Big 12 season. And this,
Who's
like
going
I
worst to
said,
first is my question.
there's a lot of them. There's a lot
Oh,
of them.
oh my God.
But, oh no, there's a lot of them. But I will say this, though, Jackson. Before we pull up our predictions, though, when you think of Big 12, Jackson, what do you think of? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Air raid.
Air raid?
And it's
I would
basically unpredictable.
I would say yeah. That and probably TCU TCU um against Kansas State. I don't know why, but when I hear Big 12, that's what I think of. TCU. But and Dave Walensky makes another good point. He says the NCAA should have progressed a long time ago when it came to college football and other sports. Yes. And Dave, that's a whole nother rabbit hole me and Jackson could go down. But that's not what we're here for tonight. That's another show. Jackson, if you want to hear more of that, Jackson will be talking about that Monday. Shameless plug. Shameless plug. Shameless plug. But
Shameless plug.
yes. But let's talk about this. The 2025 Big 12 predictions is upon us. Here we go. Go as soon as it pulls up. Here we go. The 2025-26 Big 12 predictions. And first, here's mine. I have Arizona State and Kansas State both at 10-2, and finishing 1-2 in the conference. I have Iowa State at 3. I have Colorado at 4. I have BYU at 5. TCU at 6. Texas Tech at 7. West Virginia at 8 at 6-6. Baylor at 9. Utah at 10. UCF at 11. Cincinnati at 12. Arizona at 13. Oklahoma State at 14, Kansas at 15, and Houston, Kansas both finishing dead last. And in my Big 12 championship, I've got Arizona over Kansas State, and Arizona repeats as champs and going back to back. Now, how confident am I on a scale of 1 to 10 of that happening? About a 4. But, so here's Jackson's prediction. Jackson, give him the rundown.
What could I say? I like where Kansas State's schedule is going. Although it's not going to end well going to Utah the week before rivalry week. It's just
Mm-hmm.
going to be a mess going to Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And because, like I said, that the conference is a mess, it's so messy that you can see BYU running through their schedule. And they get in the Big 12 title game because of their win over Utah mid-October. Now, I still don't like BYU Utah being in mid-October, but I'll get to that when we get to that. But
Mm-hmm.
Iowa State, I don't really like where this season's going for them, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean they're not going to complain too much about being 9-3. I mean that's not what they expect, but they're like, oh well. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
Iowa's going to beat them. Like they can't really get it done at home against Iowa. But Kansas State, I think, is going to get an important win in week 0.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas, I feel like, is going to have a good season, but like a good season by their standards. I mean, they're
Mm-hmm.
not going to be beat Utah or Iowa State or Kansas State. Unfortunately, I've got them losing to Missouri, but again, it is what it is. Arizona State, they'll have a good year, but not quite like last season. Colorado is going to have a say in who gets in the Big 12 title. I mean, they're not getting in the Big 12 title, but they're going to have a say in who gets in it, and they get that upset over Iowa State. Man, like, yeah, Houston, I feel like, and we'll get to them in a minute, TCU, that shine's worn off from 2022. It's all gone. Baylor, 2024 is just, you had an easy slate.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Texas Tech is just beyond overrated. You know, they're hyped up every offseason as the Nets title contender for the Big 12, and they got loads and loads of money in NIL and the portal and the recruiting trail. That's not enough as they go 7-5. Oklahoma State, I don't think they want to be sits and sits, but that's better than a losing season. West Virginia, I think they could go sits and sits and get a bowl victory, you know, setting up momentum for 2026. Houston, now Bert's makes an excellent point about how they've got a lot of good portal guys. And honestly, that's really going to help the Cougars.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona, lots of luck to you, gentlemen. I think we're going to be having some conversations about Brent Brennan, and the Frost era starts with a frosty bite at 2-10. I mean, they're still kind of recovering from the mid Malzahn era. Cincinnati, I mean, they're going to be in hell. They're going to be in hell. They're not going to a ball game in my book. Satterfield is fired, gone. Bye. Goodbye, Satterfield. And yeah, I've got Kansas State over BYU in the Big 12 title because I believe K-State can get it done. And they're getting in the playoffs. They're getting that first round bye with this victory. But my question is, do we see the Big 12 getting 2 playoff teams in? Does BYU get in? We'll see on that. But I don't think it happens because they've got 2 regular season losses. I mean, they beat Utah, which is good, but they can't quite get it done against Iowa State. And TCU pulls off an upset over them.
And what I want to say too is, Jackson, looking at our predictions here, we both have Kansas State making the title game. Here's the thing about Kansas State: they're consistently good. They were consistently good with Bill Snyder, and then Chris Kleiman comes in and picks right up where he left off. And you can always count on Kansas State to go 8-4, 9-3, sometimes get a 10-win season. That's how consistent they are. And it's just hard for me to put them any lower than what they are. And their schedule winds up pretty nice for them. And me and Jackson think very, very highly of them, as you can tell, with 2 losses, and Jackson only has them at 1. I think, personally, Kansas State, it's been a minute. 2022 was the last time they made a Big 12 title appearance, and they won it. So they're due for another one. And Jackson, here's the thing. If I was to have any confidence, and I know this is something you normally don't say for the Big 12, but Kansas State's the one team I have confidence in out of my championship pick that I think is going to make it. Especially if Avery Johnson is every bit as good as we think he can be. Kansas State could be a dark horse team in the playoffs. They can maybe upset somebody, especially if they get a first round home game. And you know,
Oh yeah.
and what I want to say too is, Jackson, and what is it with BYU for you? Kind of hedge the bets. What I know they lost their quarterback, and they brought a lot of their roster back. What is it, Jackson, about BYU that you like, that you see them going to the title game? Explain that to
Well,
us.
I think you answered that question when you said they got a lot of their roster back.
That's true.
Because so I mean,
Mhm.
despite not having their QB, you have to look at everything beyond the quarterback. The quarterback's not always the be all end all. You just have to have a good enough QB, and everybody else is really good.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you see in my predictions, I had them going 8-4. And the reason why that was, why I'm a little more down on them, it's not because of their loss to the QB. That doesn't help. But Jackson, BYU kind of reminds me of the Minnesota Vikings. And the reason why is they won a lot of close games last year. And when you win a lot of close games, normally the next year you lose them. So I feel like there's a couple conference games that they won close last year that they're probably going to lose close this year. And the quarterback leaving just kind of was like, okay, I still am going 8-4. I don't have them completely fallen off the cliff, but it's just hard for me to see them not taking a big step down this year. Another thing, looking at our predictions, mentioned it, Jackson. I have UCF at 5-7. I'm a little higher on them than you are. So, Jackson, why is it that UCF is projected to be the worst team in your prediction, as where I have them just missing a bowl?
Honestly, I just don't see a win in conference play for them. I mean, North Carolina, they're not beating North Carolina in non-con play.
So that's actually funny. Funny, Jackson. That's one of my wins I have for them. I had them upsetting North Carolina. Yes. Because UCF, I feel like Bill Belichick, especially if they beat TCU, I feel like they might slip up and lose that game to UCF. I think UCF with Scott Frost, I think.
Oh, my mistake. You can make Cincinnati 3-9 because Cincinnati's playing UCF. I meant to put that as Cincinnati 3-9, 1-8 in conference play.
Okay. We'll fix this on the fly. Hold on. Here we go. There we go.
My bad, chat.
Which Jackson, you know what? Oh, 1-8. There we go. We'll fix it on the fly. Here we go. There we go. So, Jackson, that's pretty bad. Why are you so down on UCF? Because you have Scott Satterfield and Cincinnati beating them, and you don't like Scott Satterfield. What is it about UCF that you're just like, yuck, no? Like, talk to me.
I just don't see that team really doing anything this year. They don't look like a contender.
I mean, I respect it. Don't get
Maybe
me wrong.
they can do better in 2-10, like 5-7, but we'll wait and see.
That's what I have.
Oh, that's the best I had them going.
Now, Jackson, another thing I want to touch on, Texas Tech. A lot of people are buying the hype on them. And both me and you have Texas Tech going 7-5. Great minds think alike.
Oh, they're
terrible. Well, here's the thing, Jackson. Me and you both have them going 7-5. So we think alike. We're on the same wavelength. But Jackson, what is it with this Texas Tech hype? Like, I get it. They got their quarterback back, and they got their running game. They're both their running backs back, but their defenses their defenses, they lost a lot on defense. What is it, Jackson, that people see about Texas Tech? I don't see it. They always choke. They win the one game that they're not supposed to. Like I remember last year, Jackson, against Iowa State. You remember when I told
Oh,
you?
you told me that one.
Yeah, I told you. I said they're going to win that game, and you're like, no, they're not. They're Texas Tech. And I was like, oh, yes, they are, Jackson. This is what they do. And then next week they have a stinker. So Jackson, explain to me, what's the hype with Texas Tech? Help a good buddy understand.
They've got a lot of money. Money is why.
That
They're
don't bother
winning
me.
on the NIL trail. They've got the most money out of everybody in the Big 12. And everybody's thinking that's automatically going to help, but money doesn't buy conference titles. And honestly, Texas Tech is more of a basketball school than they are a football school at this point.
Mhm.
I mean,
And
like
Dave,
we get to another
mhm,
generation. Nobody's sitting there talking about Mike Leach and Texas Tech because you can only ride that train for so long, and
mhm,
at some point, people are going to forget about it, except for historians.
mhm. And Dave Walensky brings up a fantastic point. And Arizona is always a weird team. Heck, it wasn't that long ago they almost won the Pac-12. Which reason why I bring this up, Jackson? Neither me or you are very high on Arizona. I've got them going 5-7. I believe you have them 4-8.
Oh, you got Gundy getting fired. You got fired.
Yes, I've got Oklahoma State going 5-7. I got them just missing bowl eligibility. And I know, looking at their schedule, that's a rough schedule, Jackson. They did not do them any favors because Oklahoma State's got to play Oregon out of conference, and I believe Washington State, if I'm correct, right? Yeah.
Well, they got to play Oregon, but I don't see Washington State on Oklahoma State's schedule.
Who plays Washington State? Anywho. But yeah,
Texas Tech's actually playing Oregon State, if that's what you meant.
yes. Hence why. Hence why. But to the point though of Oklahoma State though, I got them just missing a bowl, Jackson. Listen, and I don't mean this as any disrespect, but if Alan Bowman is the quarterback,
You're
for
out.
here's the thing, Jackson. Mike Gundy had one of the worst follow-up years in a long time. And looking at their schedule, somebody's got to lose these games. That's the thing. Like, look how many 5-7 teams I got. I mean, I've got Arizona 5-7, Oklahoma State 5-7, Cincinnati 5-7, UCF 5-7. Somebody's got to lose these games. Not everybody can win. But Jackson, you have Oklahoma State just making bowl eligibility. So it seems like you're not very high on them either. So what
No,
game is
they
it?
suck.
So what
They
game is it
suck.
you have them win? What game is it you have them winning that I don't?
They're a piece of crap non-con games for starters. I've got them beating Baylor, Arizona, and I've got them beating Cincy and Central Florida.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. We all line up on that one, I think. But here's the thing, Jackson. If let me ask you, if Mike Gundy goes 6-6, 5-7, you think he gets fired? Is this it?
No, it's a lobbying session by his agent, and he gets the announcement from Pete Thamel that he gets the vote of confidence for next year. Yeah,
Jackson's just like, I'm not falling
yeah,
for that.
yeah. Then he can like be that old guy that's yelling about his political views, at the dinner table. So I mean that's what old dudes like Gundy do. It's like it's like I got nothing against Gundy, but I just think he's not what he used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
like either honestly, he should just go start a podcast or just go straight to calling games. But
Mm-hmm.
I hope he looks at this, like looks at like his former colleague and Matt Brown and go, you know what? I don't end up like Matt Brown, where I wind up coaching coming out of retirement, and I end on a bad note, and everybody remembers me on a bad note more than they do on a good note. So I'm gonna end things on a good note.
Mm-hmm.
I would if I'm
Well,
Gundy.
mm-hmm. So Jackson, what I want to get into, looking at our prediction, and Chad, feel free to get in on this if you like. But Jackson, we are kind of have we think so much alike, but we've also think so much different. You think Kansas and Houston are due for big years, especially Kansas. You believe in Lance Leopold. You think this is a bounce back year for Jalen Daniels and those rock chalk Jayhawks. Now Jackson, I have them at 4-8, and that might be a bad take, right? But Jackson, what is are you? How do I say this? Okay,
Well, last season they were 5-2 in one score games.
okay,
Well, 2-5, 2-5 in one score games. My bad.
okay.
Like in the games they lost. Well, no. Actually, 3-5 in two.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, so it's like had they had a pretty ugly year last year, as we knew. They lost to Illinois, UNLV, West Virginia in tight fashion. Lost to Arizona State tight fashion. Lost to Kansas State tight fashion. Yeah, we got a winless trend over here, ladies and gentlemen. 0-5, but then BYU makes it 1-5. No, yeah. So it's like interesting stat for one game, one score games. Question
mm-hmm.
is, does that mean Kansas has a big year? Well, I mean, I wouldn't exactly call 8-4 a big year, but it's a big year for them.
Because the reason why Jackson, and I know I put them at the bottom of the league at 4-8. And here's the thing, and I don't want anybody to take this wrong. I like Kansas. I'm rooting for them. I hope they prove me wrong. But I just get the feeling that maybe, just maybe, Jalen Daniels can't. Like the thing with me, Jackson, I would love to have as much confidence in the Jayhawks as you, but Jalen Daniels can't stay healthy. Like he cannot. Like he's putting together a, a full season, but then these last couple years he hasn't been able to put it all together and stay on the field. Because Kansas, in my opinion, can win the Big 12. I want to put that out there. I know what I've got them predicted as, but this is based off. I'm taking into account injuries, scheduling. And like I like Lance Leopold. I really do. Like I'm Mike Jackson. I like him. I want him to be successful at Kansas, but I can't trust that Jalen Daniels is going to be healthy all year. I mean, am I wrong for thinking that, Jack?
No, I think at this point they've planned for something like this. They're
Mm-hmm,
just like, you know what, we're just going to, it's like, okay, Jalen Daniels hurt on all four. Let's get our backup quarterback in.
mm-hmm. And and here's the thing too, Jackson. As Hummus Hero is here as well. What's up, Hummus? What's up? What's up? Um, Let me ask you this, Jackson. Is there anything on my list? I've questioned you quite a few times now. Is there any team on my list you want more information about? Like you want
Oh,
to know
you
about
got to
my list?
put Baylor. You got to put Baylor at 4-5. They've got 9 conference games like everybody else in the Big 12.
No, actually, I have Baylor at 4 or 5. Okay, there we go. Good. There we go. We're fixing on airs. But Jackson, is there any team you want to pick my brain about? Because this is what we're here for. Because I picked yours.
Let's go down. Let's go down a little bit.
Okay. Is there any
Yeah. Uh, Other than the 3 and 5 errors where you meant to put 4 and 5, I think you're good to go. Or 3 and 6 for one or two of them. Yeah, I think you meant to put 3 and 6 for.
There we go. Here we go.
Or-
Fix this.
Yeah,
We'll fix this on the air. There we go. Okay.
and yeah, 3 and 6 for Central Florida.
Yeah. There we go.
I love how the
We'll fix
chat's just like thinking about Texas, Oklahoma in the Big 12, but it's like they're not thinking about Nebraska, Colorado, Texas A&M, Missouri. Well, that's okay.
Oh my gosh. Anywho, like, let me ask you this, Jackson. Looking at our predictions, okay, I have Arizona State over Kansas State. You have Kansas State over BYU. So let me ask you, Jackson, out of our two championship games, are you more confident in mine or are you more confident in yours to happen?
Honestly, I'm a little more confident in mine because I don't think it really matters who Kansas State plays. I think they're going to win the Big 12 no matter what.
And that's fair. That's fair too as well. And what I will say to this is, looking at this, Jackson, what's one team that you think, Jackson, who's going to be that surprise team this year in the Big 12? Who's it going to be?
Well, let's look at the little list, shall we? Let's go down to like my predictions.
There you go. Is
Utah.
Kansas your surprise? Utah?
No, Utah.
Now, and here's the thing too, Jack, is what I will say to Utah is you're very high on them. What do you like about Utah? I know Kyle Whittingham, but their defense is always great. I give them that. But that quarterback situation, buddy, that scares me. That scares me. But what is it about Utah that you love, good buddy? Like, talk to me. Chat me
Well,
up.
they don't have to worry about the Cam Rising situation anymore. Although I will say, when I watched a little bit of Baylor, Utah, I had fun hearing Bad Moon Rising for about 5 seconds on bots. But anyway, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Utah. I think Kyle Whittingham wants to end his tenure at Utah on a high note. He didn't want in 2024. He didn't want 2024 being his last year, and it's like, okay, we crapped the bed on this season. And he made and there were some changes on the staff. I mean, I like where this is going to be going. Jason Beck's going to be a great one. Morgan Scaley is obviously the Nets head coach at Utah. But I think we're going to see a lot of momentum when we see Utah playing UCLA late night, Saturday night on Fox. But Wyoming's going to be a bit of a trap game. But I think we're going to see everything else kind of take place. The schedule is a little bit easier, especially for a team that was really down last season. And yeah, I think we can take calls, but we'll do like 10-minute calls.
So, let me put it in the chat. So, if you want to be a part of this, me and Jackson are going to take calls tonight because we decided, you know what? We want the people's opinion. Now, we will say keep it on Big 12 football only, though, guys. No SEC, no Michigan, no Ohio State, okay? Or Jackson will have to get the belt down, and we don't want that, okay? So behave. But if you want to call in, I will put the call-in link in the chat, and we talk about the Big 12 predictions, and you can even give us Big 12 predictions. You can even tell us if you like our predictions, if you think we're way off. You could tell us if we're nuts. Questions about anything. It's all open for sale. Just remember, be civil. No politics, no religion. Okay, that's all we have.
For discussion of the Great Pumpkin.
Yes, we just ask that you be civil. But if you would like to call in, there it is, and we'll talk Big 12 football with you. And here's the thing too, Jackson, while we wait for our callers, I mean, Jackson, when putting this list together, and this goes for me too, Jackson, what's your thought process when you put these together? Do you look at what do you look at the most?
I'm looking at
Most.
who's likely to be the disappointment, who's likely to surprise a lot of people, and who's really going to be consistent out of everybody within their conference. And
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, like, Kansas State is consistent. And the last time people were so high on Iowa State, they didn't do so high. That was 2021. Colorado, I'm not liking this season. I'm not liking it. I mean,
I have Colorado going 8-4, so don't feel bad. I mean, I'm a little higher on them than you are, Jack. I have them beating Georgia Tech. Spoiler alert. But here's a man, though, Jackson. We have our first caller of the night. He's a legendary caller at the Voice of College Football. Always brings great debates, discussions, analysis, and here to join us to talk a little Big 12 football and bring his knowledge to the table. You've got the one, the only, Daryl MVP. How you doing tonight, Daryl?
I'm doing well. How about you two gentlemen?
I'm doing pretty good.
Well, I appreciate you all giving lesser conferences some attention. So, it's nice for you all to do some charity work for the Big 12, or the Little 12, or the Island of Misfit Toys, whatever you want to call them. Austin, my man, why'd you go pure chalk? Like, you could have made it at least a little interesting, man. Arizona State 1, Kansas State 2, Iowa State 3. My good. I mean, give a little bit of pizzazz. Give a little fun in there.
Well, I put Colorado at 4, Daryl. I thought that was being spicy.
I mean, it is, but man, this is the Big 12 we're talking about. Listen, I'm not trolling when I say that. You could take either list. You could take my list if I had one: Minnesota Days, Hummus Heroes, Austin's Jackson, and just flip it 180 degrees. So we're 16v1, 15v2, and that's just as likely as the rankings we all have. I mean, anything's possible in this conference, for goodness sake.
This is true. And here's the thing too, Daryl, and I'll be honest with you. When Jackson and me were putting these together, I'll be honest with you. Like, I was looking at everybody's schedule, trying to wrap my head around everything. I'll be honest with you, I got a headache putting this together. I'm being dead serious. Because I'm like, you know something? The way the Big 12 is, I'm just like, someone's going to lose a game they shouldn't. And Daryl, like, the SEC was much easier, if I'm being honest, but that's another story for another day.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm not trolling. If Kansas could play Utah in the Big 12 title game, it'd be like, cool. It could be West Virginia versus TCU, and I'll be like, oh, that's interesting. There's nothing in this conference that surprised me for a Big 12 title game. But to me, like, I know we have the +3, -3. The Big 12 every year is just going to have, like, in my opinion, 5 or 6 teams that are like Arizona State, for example. To me, the odds of any team going back-to-back in the Big 12 is so small. Because you're basically like flipping a coin, and you want it to be heads 6 times in a row, and then the next time you flip a coin, you also want it to be tails 6 times in a row. I mean, the odds of doing that's pretty small. That's the way I view the Big 12.
And what I'll say to that, Daryl, and let Jackson get in on this too, I was real hesitant about picking Arizona State, but I was like, listen, they brought back Sam Levitt. I know without Cam Skattebo, that's a big loss on the offense, tremendous loss, but they brought back a lot of their defense too, and Kenny Dillingham, he's starting to earn some of my trust. And they have a lighter schedule. They didn't get hit with it like some of these other teams did. But Jackson, I would love to hear your thoughts on that comment from Daryl about picking a team going back to back in the Big 12.
Oh man, anything could happen in the world of the Big 12. I mean, it's like we saw it last season. Oklahoma State, Utah were projected to be the first and second best teams in the conference. And then they kind of just went to crap for 2024. I mean, it could happen, like where it's like we see somebody from worst to first get in the conference title, or we could see somebody that went 4-8 and then get in the Big 12 title, or see someone that was having a 10-win season last year go down to 6-6 or have a losing record. You never know what's going to happen. But two things you can be sure on is that Kansas State is consistent as heck with Chris Klieman as their head coach. And Texas Tech is always mid. Death, taxes, and Texas Tech being mid.
Mm-hmm. Like I told Jackson, Kansas State's consistently 8-9 wins. And Daryl, you and even Mark Rogers, listening to him, he's even said that. He's like, Kansas State is always an 8-9 win team. Daryl, I believe you've even said that in the past. So for me and Jackson to pick Kansas State, a lot, like, you don't hear much pushback on that. I know Arizona State's kind of getting pushback from you, Daryl, because of the fact they could go the back-to-back thing. But other than that, like Jackson said, though.
Yeah, I mean, nothing would surprise me. Any list and any order, I will not argue for as being like completely insane or wrong. Like, you've got Baylor at 9, put them 1. I'll be like, okay, I can see it. You put West Virginia at 1. I know they're 16th and not projected to do anything, but why not? Honestly, this conference is the only predictable thing about this conference is their unpredictability, and that's what's going to make it fun every single year. Is just to see how wrong everybody that makes a list is, and that's why the Big 12 did away with their media poll. Is because they wanted a perception argument, but also it's like, what are you going to pick? I mean, you're going to have it like 10 teams get a first place vote every single year.
And that's the thing too. Well, that's the thing too, Daryl. I'm glad you brought that up. The Big 12, and I would say ACC here recently, is the one conference you could pick a name out of the hat, and it could be like, say, Daryl, you picked TCU out of the hat, and you told me it's going to be TCU who wins the Big 12. And I would be like, okay. I mean, crazier things have happened. I mean, you could tell me tomorrow, Daryl, that Colorado's going to win the Big 12. I would believe you. I would take your word for it. That's how unpredictable this conference is.
Right. The only thing I'm looking for that, is just certainty is the unpredictability. That's why I went to the back-to-back. I think BYU is another team I'm pretty confident. Like, when I say pretty confident in Big 12, I'm like 55 versus 45% sure. That's pretty confident by Big 12 standards. I'm pretty confident BYU is going to take a step back because they lost Jake Retzloff. I mean, they should have lost to Utah and they should have lost to Oklahoma State. That's how bad they were. They're hard garbage. And they won, they won those 50-50 games. And this year, it's just hard to keep winning 50-50 battles over and over and over and over again. And eventually the call's not going to go their way. The ball's not going to bounce the right way. Something bad is going to happen eventually, just through randomness.
Mm-hmm. And what I will say too is, Daryl, and I pull up Jackson's predictions too, he's really high on BYU. He thinks they could go 10-2, and which Jackson kind of explained it. Jackson, what do you think about that from Daryl? Then, kind of like what I kind of said, but Daryl put a better spin on it than I did. What do you think about that, Jackson? Because you're a little higher on BYU than I am.
Roster was good, but the QB situation, I feel like it'll be fine either way.
Okay, what do you mean it'd be fine either way? Because for me, like, the way I'm looking at it is, you got a quarterback, you got a system that's very, he understands it thoroughly, he understands the communication. You're bringing in somebody pretty late into the season that has to learn the culture, that has to fit the culture, get the chemistry, get all the play calls down. I wouldn't be surprised in, like, the first 3 weeks of the season, BYU's like, I don't know who they play, just to be honest. with you.
Oh, they've got crappy opponents to start off the season.
Well, that'll help them out tremendously. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're playing crappy opponents for these games to be ugly type wins. Like 31-17 instead of 45-7, for example. I want to, you see a highlight of BYU and the center snaps the ball through the quarterback's legs and it's a turnover. Those type of small things that could happen.
Oh, yeah. Well, the non-con schedule is crap. West Virginia is not ready to have a really good season yet. Arizona's a dud. Colorado's rebuilding. I mean, Utah is a win at home for BYU. Texas Tech's terrible. Cincinnati and UCF are terrible. I mean, the only sure loss I see is Iowa State because nobody survives in Ames, Iowa.
Yeah, I know, Jackson, but to me, this was all every game you mentioned there, including even the Utah games, like at best 65-35. Like none of these games are like, man, it's Alabama's playing Kentucky this week. It's going to be a 28-point favorite. Most of those games probably are going to be 7 to 4-point favorites, home and away. I mean, this conference, in terms of talent, you look up the 2025 recruiting rankings on 2024-7 Sports, the team composites, look at the Big 12. I mean, they're all literally just right in a row.
Mm-hmm. And what I will say to that, too, is, Jarrell, and my thing was, too, I think Jackson, and I won't speak for him, but I think Jackson looks at it as it's a team sport, right? We all know that, Jarrell, right? It's not just the quarterback, but the way you said, the way the ball has to bounce, like that's one of them. Like I said, Jarrell, to Dave, they kind of remind me of the Minnesota Vikings, unfortunately, where the one year the Vikings, I think, went 13-3 and had everything go the way, and the next year everything went wrong. Every game you thought they should have won, they lost by single digits, or they lost in last thing. And I just feel like that's what BYU is going to turn into. I respect Jackson's opinion on that. I really do. But it's just like maybe he's wearing the color glasses. But Jackson can elaborate more on that, though, to your question, Jarrell. Go ahead, Jackson.
Oh, sorry. I was just answering some questions about like certain stuff off air.
Now, why are you storming with the Mormons, Jackson?
Schedule's easy, man.
Is there an easy schedule in the Big 12? Like, I just don't believe in that concept. I don't believe there's
sucks.
Really?
Cincinnati sucks. Central Florida sucks. Arizona sucks. Colorado, they're rebuilding. And BYU smacked them off face here last year in the Alamo Bowl.
When you're talking about this teams being... When you're talking about these teams being crap, what standard are you using? Are you using throughout all of college football, these teams aren't that good standard? Or using within the Big 12 conference, they're bad standard?
A little bit of both. Like, teams aren't that good.
Okay, I mean, I'll be honest.
Stanford's terrible.
I'll be honest. Just in terms of a power rating, not talking about the AP poll, I'm not talking about the college football playoff. I'm talking about a power rating, which means, similar to Vegas odds. They rank the teams, and then they have the lines based on where they rank the teams. Is there a single team in the Big 12 that deserves to be power rated in the top 25 of the country?
Kansas
I mean, I'm not.
Iowa State. I mean,
right.
That.
Right, but I mean, that's my point. There's maybe one, maybe zero. So saying this team stinks and that team stinks and that team stinks, I mean, let's be honest about this conference. There's a lot of 40th to 50th place teams in this conference. You put Boise State in this from last year, and they could easily win. They could win the conference. They might not, but they could win the conference. You put Arkansas in this thing or Minnesota in this thing, they could win it. So when we use the they stink metric, I mean, there's a lot of teams. That's like Kansas State. Would it shock me? They go in a different conference. They go 8-4. No. Would it shock me if your prediction's right and they go 11-1 in the Big 12? No, it wouldn't. I just think using the they stay compared to college football isn't fair to looking at schedules.
And here's the thing too,
Yeah.
Darrell, and I want to say this too, and I want to get your opinion on this. I made this clear to Jackson, but I think Kansas State, if they get the right matchup, I think they could win a playoff game. I think they're that team from the Big 12. I think they could win a playoff game. I think, even though I have Arizona State winning, I do think, though, sitting here talking about it tonight, I do see where Jackson's coming from. But, Darrell, do you think Kansas State would have a legitimate chance against, say, a Notre Dame or an Alabama or an Ole Miss, one of those type teams in a playoff field?
We would have to define the words legitimate chance first off.
Okay.
So, like Arizona State, I don't think put them on the field against Texas tomorrow. Their 2024 teams. I still don't think Arizona State has a legitimate chance. They were 21-point underdogs, for goodness sake.
Mm-hmm.
It's also going to be even harder because we're changing the college football playoff format to straight seeding. So, it was top 4 conferences go to bye, and they're 1 through 4. Listen, I'm not trying to be mean to Big 12 people when I say this. I try to be objective to my standards. I know a lot of people don't believe that. It's not crazy that the Big 12 team is seeded the 11th or 10th spot most years, and they're going to have to play Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Texas most years, and that year they'll get killed. They'll lose generally by 28 plus points, and they won't belong on the field. Does that mean they're a bad team? Does that mean their players are terrible? No. But you know what it's like? It's like Louisville going to Ohio State and expecting to win. Is Louisville a good program? Yes. Are they one of the 25 best programs in college football right now? Yes. Can they go to Ohio State and win a playoff game? No.
No, not a chance. Not even if everything.
There
goes
is
wrong.
one Big 12 team that is kryptonite for Texas, though. Kansas State.
Yeah, but you got to get the exact matchup and the exact seeding, and you need so much to align just for that specific matchup to occur. It'd be really difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what I want to say too is, Darrell, looking at this, let's talk about the bottom feeders because I want your take on this. So, Jackson believes UCF might be the worst team. I think Kansas and Houston. What's more likely to you, Houston and Kansas or UCF and Cincinnati? Is kind of the bottom feeders. What's more likely to you, Darrell? I want your opinion on it.
Well, from what I'm just going based off last season because I haven't looked at any of these rosters because, let's be honest, these are Big 12 rosters here. We're not exactly talking national championship level teams here. Kansas had the best end to the season. I don't know if they still have Jalen Daniels as their quarterback, but
They do.
Okay, they were knocking off some giants in the Big 12 back-to-back weeks. So out of those 4 teams, I like Kansas the most. All the other teams you mentioned, my gosh, they're pretty bad by just standards. But they're bad, but they can win the Big 12. So it's that constant paradox we're talking about. I don't believe in Cincinnati. I don't believe in their head coach. I don't believe in the direction of their program. Same thing with Houston. I just don't know what they're doing. Houston, they should have lost to a Group of 5 team last year, if I recall correctly. And then, what was the other team you all mentioned?
UCF.
Kansas.
UCF.
Oh, UCF. Retread coaches are so hard to come back from. And I'm worried if Scott Frost loses that first 1 possession game, okay, by 7 or less points, does he subconsciously think, man, this is just a me problem. It's not a Nebraska thing. And then he just kind of resigns. He mentally is out. That's what I'm worried about because when you've been that bad for that long and you've made so many wrong decisions, if I'm in a close game, my first thought is, man, I really don't want to screw it up. And then he would screw it up. And I wonder if that would snowball on them. But
Honestly, I'm kind of like, I don't think this is what Central Florida had in mind joining the Big 12, where they're just a disaster under Gus Malzahn. And it could be a disaster in the second stint of the Scott Frost era. I'm going to be real. I could see some Miami vibes for Central Florida, and I don't mean that in a good way.
Mhm.
What do you mean
What
by
do you-
that? Can you explain more of what you mean by that, please?
Well, everybody had high hopes for Miami when they joined the ACC. Oh, they're going to cream everyone in the ACC. They haven't even won one conference title since they joined the ACC. I feel like you're going to see something like that with Central Florida. Everybody's hyping them up, throwing the cart in before the horse. They're going to be top contenders and all that with Malzahn. But they couldn't even get to a bowl game in 2024. They were barely bowl eligible in 2023. And 2025, the first year of the second stint of the Scott Frost era, it just, I cannot quite put my finger on it, but this whole thing screams disaster, in my opinion.
Right. This reminds me of something. I'm going to give a shout out to an old friend of all of ours, I'm pretty sure, Tony Altimore. When during the
Mhm.
Pac-12 Big 12 saga, he was arguing that the Big 12 was adding a lot of bottom feeders and average to below average teams. And I mean, he sure is. I mean, that take looks cash money right now. Cincinnati's trash. UCF's trash. Houston's. I mean, honestly, Houston, Cincinnati, UCF is probably the three worst programs in the Big 12 right now. And in BYU, they're floating at average, but they haven't really done anything to super excel. I know they went 9-3, but this year is looking like a massive step back in general. So the expansion teams really haven't worked out for the Big 12. They just grabbed a bunch of crap, and that's what they got was crap.
Yeah.
So, real fast, since we're on the subject of it, I had UCF schedule pulled up and zoom in here a little bit. So, glad we brought this up. So, here's UCF schedule. Okay, they play Jackson State week 1, right? We all think that's a win, right? The first two games
Do we?
are wins.
I mean,
North
listen, Jack.
Carolina at home.
Hold on. Jack State's a legit Conference USA team. They're one of the two legit teams in Conference USA, or three. Them, Western Kentucky Liberty. Well, week 1, week 0, we have these weird results. I mean, I know it's Jack State, for goodness sakes, but would anybody really be surprised if UCF lost to Jack State? I'm not throwing anything out that's impossible for this team, other than that North Carolina A&T game. I thought AT&T was a cell phone service, not a university, but it seems like they're expanding as well.
Yeah. So, Jackson, what are the 2 wins you have? Is it just the 2 non-conference games?
Yeah, the 2 piece of
Over-
crap non-con games.
Okay. So, here's the thing, Darrell, and this may be a scorching hot take, but I have UCF beating North Carolina at home. I do think this would be a game, especially if North Carolina beats TCU, that UCF would sneak in a win over a young Carolina team and a coach like Bill Belichick. I know even back in his great heyday in New England, he always had those letdown games. I mean, and you look at the schedule, I see where Jackson's coming from, but I just think they're 5-7, 6-6. I think that.
Do we think of a bigger coaching mismatch for Scott Frost, a guy who chokes games, than the most clutch coach in the history of football? I mean, can we think of a bigger cataclysmic coaching mismatch? I mean, if that game's 7 points in the fourth quarter, Bill Belichick's going to come out with some exotic defense he's never seen in his life and completely flatten them. I mean, seriously. The coaching mismatch is massive in this game.
And I understand that, Darrell. The thing with me when I was picking this, I was like, something? UCF always wins that one odd game, and Jackson will even tell you until the day you turn blue. UCF always wins one game that they should never have any involvement in winning. And for me, North Carolina will be that game, in my opinion.
That's fair. You know who the ultimate winner is, though, Austin, regardless of how the season goes?
Who's that?
It's the fans. Look at those ticket prices on the right-hand side. My goodness,
Yeah.
$8. We got a 21 in there, an 18, 25. Bro, the fans
Yeah.
they're the ultimate winner. You can go to like 3 or 4 games for under $100 so you go by yourself.
Well, that's because they stink, number one. But that's
Can
another
you
story for
imagine?
another-
I'm not. UCF Kansas might be a middle of the road Big 12 game and it's selling for $20. Can you? I mean, there's not a middle of the road any other conference that's in the Power 4 that'd be $20. Maybe the ACC if like Pitt's playing. Maybe the ACC. I'm not, but definitely not the SEC or Big 10.
Poor Big 12. We tried to hype you up, Big 12, and Daryl.
They are America's conference. I know, just man, those ticket prices, man. I'm feeling, man. I might become a Big 12 fan just to save some money this year going to game.
Hey, the $122 to go at Kansas State, Daryl. There you go.
That's the only. Yeah, of course you chose the most expensive game. You didn't go like for an average or anything.
Oh, Kansas State's going to beat up on Central Florida. It's going to get ugly. And Central Florida, North Carolina, we're just going to hear about Jordan, Bill Belichick's girl or whatever, or their relationship as a whole. We're not going to hear about Central Florida or North Carolina as a whole. We're not even going to hear about the roster of either one of those teams. That I can guarantee.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, God. No. My God.
No. Okay, so off of that, but Daryl, back to the BYU point, though. I do want to touch on this since we're talking about this. Let's pull up their schedule, shall we? And legitimately, let's talk about this because
Jackson, who's their quarterback? Do they have a quarterback? Who's their quarterback now?
Well, it's looking like Blackmeyer could be their QB, but it's basically anyone's guess.
Everybody except for you and Austin probably said who?
And there's Trayson Bourget and McKay Hillstead.
Yeah, again, who?
Yeah.
Are these players? These could legitimately pass. I'm not trolling. These legitimately could pass as generated players in college football 26. You know how they couldn't get the rights to some of them, so they'll just put the name in and just have the default.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And there's Bear Botmeyer.
Mm-hmm. And what I want to say, too,
Botmeyer transferred from
schedule,
Stanford to BYU during the spring portal.
Hmm.
Although
so
he might be thinking about transferring if he even so much as kisses a girl over at BYU.
Oh, Lord. Anywho, so looking at BYU's schedule, okay, Portland State, they should win, right? I mean,
they're going to beat Portland State.
Right?
The argument is, why on earth is it $52 to go to see Portland State? I mean, you can pay me $52 to go see Portland State. They got killed like 81-7 against Oregon a few years ago. I'm not even making that. Oregon legitimately scored 80 on this team.
Yeah, I'm not going to some piece of crap game like that. I'm not doing that. No, that's not happening.
Versus Stanford, I mean, if it was at Stanford, I could see a loss, but I do legitimately think they could beat Stanford. Right?
Yeah, I mean, they could. They could lose to them. This is another 60-40. That's a 60-40 game, probably in BYU's favor. I mean, Stanford, though, last year had the best win. They beat Louisville out of the two teams, so.
Everybody's pitiful on that schedule. That's the thing.
Yeah, this is the Big 12, Jackson. I'm not. You put Arkansas on that schedule, and that's easily the best team. You put Minnesota on that schedule, that's legitimately the best team. This is the Big 12 for you. The island of misfit toys. I mean, you're not going to find a complete toy on the misfit toy island.
But Jackson, here's the thing. I respect your opinion of them going 10-2, but look at that. There's legitimately like I'm going 8-4. So Jackson, what is it? Because at Texas Tech, at Iowa State, at Arizona, at Colorado, those are games right there are coin flips for me. And
BYU
Bill,
smacked Colorado off the face of the earth with Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter. I don't
But
see a
that's-
Colorado team without those guys giving BYU trouble.
now here's the
Hold on,
thing.
hold on. Can I ask what Timothy? What if I said in the that is objectively not true? Like, what if I said that's objectively not true?
Oh Lord.
I just want to know. I just want to know this from a West Virginia fan, by the way. A team that would go what? 5-7, 4-8 in the SEC, most likely. Again, I'm projecting, but most likely. Shoot, they might do that this year in the Big 12, so we might have to bump it down to 2-10 or 3-9, for goodness sakes. But any of those games, Austin, all those games are, even the ones at home, 60-40.
Mm-hmm.
Like Utah last year was 1-8, and their only one was Oklahoma State, and BYU should have beaten them. It was like they had a fourth down at their own like 5-yard line or something like that last year, and they got lucky with the pass play that extended the drive. They should have lost to Utah, and they should have lost to Oklahoma State. You can lose to those two teams last year. You can lose to anybody. And the quarterback situation is just so bad from last year. I mean, you're downgrading your quarterback significantly. He was one of the best players in the Big 12 last year.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing too, Dario. I had him at 8-4. Like, I'm not very high on him. Jackson's the man up there you got to talk to because Jackson thinks they're gonna be in the Big 12 title game at the end of the year. And like I said, I respect Jackson's opinion just as he respects mine. These are what we think. But Jackson, help me and Dario out a little bit. Kind of looking at this, Dario brings up good points. There was a lot of 50-50 games that went their way. Do you think the ball will still flip that way again for them? That's all we want to kind of like take us through your mindset here.
I mean, like West Virginia's rebuilding in the Rich Rod in the first year of the second stint of the Rich Rod era, which, by the way, I see the second stint of the Rich Rod era being way more successful than I do the second stint of the Scott Frost era at Central Florida. If Colorado could beat BYU with Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders in the Alamo Bowl last season, I don't see them creating any trouble for BYU. It's just not happening. And they don't have their star guys. They're kind of just rebuilding for 2025. Arizona, I don't really like this Arizona team with Brennan right now. They don't seem like a good team. Utah and Iowa State are the ones that are really going to give BYU a dogfight in conference play. Texas Tech, I almost chalked it up as a loss because of, to your point, they always win that one game they shouldn't. But I've got TCU upsetting BYU this season to get close to bowl eligibility. But Cincinnati and Central Florida are easy wins for BYU. Because, like, honestly, you're not going to see Cincinnati contend for a conference title. They may get the bowl eligibility, but I don't see them going to bowl eligibility. But it's just an ugly era for Satterfield. And Central Florida, it's just terrible. It's not going to end well for them.
Okay, guys, can I respond to what Timothy said in the chat back to me? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what we call an analysis. This isn't a true or false claim. It could go either way. I don't have a crystal ball that says Minnesota or Arkansas would win the Big 12. I'm not saying they would win or lose. I'm just saying I think those two teams would be they could win it. They could also lose it. The data to back it up is the Big 12 during the regular season when only 5-11 against the other Power 3 conferences. The SEC went 5-0 against them in their bowl games. The Big 12 had a general bad year all around last year. Their best result was in a loss when Arizona State almost beat Texas. And within those 5 wins, Arizona State, the best team in the Big 12, barely beat an Mississippi State an 0-8 SEC team. So, there's plenty of data to back up that the Big 12 is just not a good conference. So saying a middle of the road team in a different league that is objective, that is just better, could win it, I don't think is a radical idea. It would be like saying Louisville goes to the Conference USA and says, man, they should win it. I mean, that's such an obvious take. They should win it.
Mm-hmm. And I understand what you mean by that, Daryl. I think what upsets people. And
Timothy, I'm using analysis to describe how weak the Big 12 is overall and why Jackson's point of saying this schedule stinks, schedule stinks, you can't apply that to the Big 12 because all the schedules stink because when you're comparing them to the totality of college football, they're generally worse than most of the Power 4 schedules, especially in the SEC and Big 10. That was the point I was making.
And what I want to say to you is, to kind of back the real up, in the Big 12, like Volesky said, are kind of throw a dart at the board and pick it out. You could tell me tomorrow Cincinnati's upset UC, and I would be like, if call that an upset. Or you could tell me Colorado is going to beat BYU. I would be like, I'm shocked. I think that's what we're getting at.
Often, and maybe it's just me, but you're sounding like a robot, buddy, okay?
Yeah.
So nobody's hearing you, what you're saying at all, okay? Timothy, I saw your latest comment, and I'm just, I like you. You seem like a passionate fan, which is what we all like about college football. But I don't care what West Virginia did when they beat Georgia in a bygone era. I don't care about that. I care about what happened recently and using that data to project forward. That would be like, man, Virginia Tech beat Ohio State 12, what was that, 2011? Something like that, 2012? And they went on and be like, man, Virginia Tech's a really good team. They beat Ohio State like 15 years ago. It doesn't make any sense. It'd be like, man, Vanderbilt. I mean, we can even use last year's an example of an anomaly. Look, Vanderbilt, Alabama. Does that mean Vanderbilt is now a better program than Alabama? No. Got to take the totality of the results from last year to make an informed opinion. Anyway, Jackson, do you think anything I'm saying is way out of bounds about the Big 12? Like, could you see what's a middle of the road SEC team? Oklahoma go in the Big 12 and could they win it, for example?
I don't think Oklahoma could win the Big 12 with Brent Venables as head coach. Not this season, anyway.
Okay,
I mean, they couldn't get it. They couldn't get it done in that last season that he was there.
Oh, how about a Vanderbilt or Arkansas or Ole Miss? Those level people.
Ole Miss maybe, but like Vanderbilt and Arkansas, no.
Well, okay, I want to pick your brain about this. Vanderbilt has two results that I would say are just as good as any result in the Big 12. They almost beat Texas, which is the exact same thing that Arizona State did, and they beat Alabama, which is better than anything the Big 12 did. Now, I do know they lost to Georgia State, which, I mean, is a bad loss. But I'm talking about Vanderbilt, when the 50-50 balls go their way. They have all the good luck, like similar to BYU with Utah and Oklahoma State. If things went right for them, you don't think they could win it?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't see Vanderbilt getting a Big 12 title.
Well, obviously they're not going to get one. By the way, they're obviously not going to get one because, they're not the Big 12. I don't care what happened when Texas was in the Big 12. This is a new era. First off, last year's Texas team and the 2 year ago Texas team and this year's Texas team is a lot better than 10-year ago Texas team. That's first off. Second off, look at the recruiting rankings. Look at the level of players these teams are getting. The SEC and Big Ten generally, I'm going to stress that again, are just getting better players than the Big 12. I mean, you look at it across the board. I mean, even these lower level SEC teams like Kentucky would be top 5 in the Big 12. It's insane. If you want to win more games in college football, you have to get better players. There's a reason you look at the team composite talent ratings, and you can basically 1-to-1 slide it over to the college football playoffs. There's not some grand conspiracy theory against the Big. Is the Big 12 the most competitive conference, top to bottom? Yes. Is it the most unpredictable conference? Yes. Is it a fun conference because of that? Yes. Are they going to be relevant in terms of the national championship conversation? No. And that's okay. That's what made college football great. Because if all we cared about was the national championship, Austin wouldn't care as much about college football because he's a Louisville fan, and I wouldn't care as much about college football because I'm a Kentucky fan. And neither of us programs are going to win the national championship within our lifetimes. Do you disagree with that, Austin? Is that a problem, though?
Nope, Dury. That's not a problem. Here's the thing, Daryl. I look at it as, listen, I am one that if Louisville wins the ACC, I'm tickled. I don't care what happens after that. Because in football, we've had a great history, but also I do think, like you said, we're not going to win it in football. Certainly not us, but basketball, yes.
Yeah, basketball's a different thing. Basketball, the Big 12, top to bottom most years is going to be the best conference. The SEC somehow took it over last year, but generally it's going to be the Big 12 because they got Houston, Arizona, TCU, Baylor. I mean, all these teams are going to be top 20, top 15 match. Kansas State, for goodness sake. It's going to be insane. It's a basketball conference. So when you're talking about football, in a basketball conference, they're basically replacing what the ACC has been for the last 20 to 30 years. With Duke, North Carolina, Louisville, Syracuse, UConn, all those, those big East ACC teams. Combine those, the best of those conferences, and that's what the Big 12 is right now. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, being a basketball conference. I love college basketball. Austin, I'm sure, does as well. But you can't be elite at both sports because other people's passion is just going to do it. It's fun, by the way, being a college basketball conference. It's fun.
Well, and Timothy makes a great point about how like the SEC and Big Ten are getting a lot of money, like especially with the from the playoff committee where it's like they get like most of the money, whereas like the ACC and the Big 12, they get like small like doses of finance compared to the SEC and the Big Ten. So it's like,
okay, this is a chicken or the egg situation. Why is the SEC and Big Ten making the playoffs? Is it because they're getting more money from the playoffs, or is it because they've had literally 100 years of greatness generally? Why?
A lot of people do tend to tune in to both of them.
I understand. My point, though, in terms of why the Big Ten and SEC is making more playoff money is because those conferences have Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Michigan, Penn State. It's not a coincidence to me that the teams that were great generally 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 years ago are also great now. This shouldn't be a shock to anybody. What's actually happened is by adding more teams to the playoff, we've actually reduced the amount of teams who could win the national championship because there's less outliers that can happen. Like, look at 2023 TCU for an example. The odds of them winning a national championship, even in that year, is basically zero. Because they're not going to be able to have enough depth to compete against 4 powerhouse giants in 4 straight games. Look, Notre Dame's not even in the conference. And they made it to the national championship game. If it's all a conspiracy theory to help conferences out, then how come a team that's not even in a conference made the national championship game? Can you all explain that to me?
No. And it's just, here's the thing, Daryl. Notre Dame was one of the 2 best teams last year. along with
And
the
why were
teams
they
that
one
have
of the
won
two
the
best teams? How were they able to get in that
because they
situation? Because they have the history, the pageantry to attract players, to attract good coaches, to have the facilities in order to be good. This isn't hard to figure out. I mean, this is why is Alabama going to be good this year? Why are they projected to potentially win the national championship? Because they have the money, they have the better players, the better coaches, the better facility. But because the fans care more about college football generally than your average Big 12 fan. That's the reason why. We all know this.
and here's the thing too,
Or we
Darrell.
all should.
It's well, here's the thing too, Darrell. It's funny. So Jackson's our resident Bama fan, right? When Bama made the Final Four in basketball, I asked Jackson, I was like, "How you feeling? Does it feel great to know that you're in a Final Four?" And he was like, kind of almost like, "Yeah." And it's just like, and I'm like, "Aren't you excited? Bama's never this good in basketball." And he's like, "And listen, here's the thing, Darrell. Us, like if Louisville makes it to a Final Four in the college football playoffs or Kentucky, we're jumping for joy. Me and you are throwing a party down the street. Jackson, he's just kind of like, we're Bama. We're supposed to do that."
Yeah, that you
And
know
this
what
is
that'd be called? That's a failure. That's a failure for Alabama. And that's the difference between the elites and everyone else. Yeah, if Louisville made the Final Four in basketball and didn't win all, that'd be seen as a failure by some of the fan base. Because
Yes.
it means more to those fans because they care more, they put more time, money, effort, and resources into this thing. Why, look, why is Texas Tech now projected to do elite in the Big 12? Because they're putting the time, money, energy, and effort in order to be better. This isn't hard to figure out. If you have more passion toward a project, you're going to have a better result than if you don't put that much passion into the project.
Exactly.
Why is
Darrell.
Auburn okay? Even tough teams like the Auburn Tigers, which have to play Alabama and Georgia every single year. How come they haven't folded it in and just accepted that they're going to be the third best team out of those? Because their fans have the time, money, energy, and passion to put into that program in order to try and pass Georgia and Alabama. This isn't hard to figure. I don't understand what's so like revolutionary about this theory that it just makes people's minds explode.
I agree with you, Darrell. And here's the thing. You mentioned the Big 12's basketball conference. And people may look at that and say there's shame in that. And listen, I know we're talking college football and talking about the Big 12. But here's the thing. If like you said, Darrell, if you put more time and effort into whatever sport it is, like baseball, I know there's athletic programs out there that put time and effort into their baseball more than they do football or basketball. And it's just, here's the thing about Big 12. And I think and I say this, you're not meaning any disrespect, but the Big 12's kind of like, they're that redheaded stepchild. You love them, but you know deep down that they're just a bunch of troublemakers. That's all. They're just the disturbers. They're kind of like the redheaded stepchild, the one that always gets in order, the middle child. They're kind of like that. And the SEC and Big Ten are the big brothers and sisters of the world.
Right, and this same exact logic and reasoning applies to literally the entire group of five. Even the best group of five teams like Boise State, Tulane. Why aren't they listed at the? Why can't they win home? Or you don't have the same energy, time, effort, facilities that the SEC, most of the SEC, and some of the Big Ten programs have, and some of the ACC. Why is Florida State? Florida State was 2-10 last year, and they were a complete disaster. Would it shock anybody in 5 years of Florida State's in the national championship game? Honestly, like, would it be that shocking? It'd be surprising, but it wouldn't be like, holy cow, Cincinnati's in the national championship game? Why? Because look at Florida State. Look at the fans. Look how passionate they are. Look how much money, effort, energy they're putting into that program to be the best.
And to your point, Darrell, that's a great point. And it's like, here's the thing, Darrell. Like for us, I'll use basketball on this, but it's like if you tell me Kentucky basketball is going to be in the national championship next year, like I'll be like, okay, like that would not shock me. Or Daryl, if you told me Louisville, it's going to be Louisville, Kentucky in the Final Four, like it was all those years ago, I'd be like, that doesn't shock me because we're basketball schools. It's kind of like what you said about Florida State. Or if you tell me Oregon's going to be playing for a national championship, wouldn't shock me at all. It's all about what you put your time, energy, your money, and your effort into, and what you care about the most. And it applies to all sports. People think it's just basketball and football. Baseball is the same way. Like if someone tells me LSU is going to win the Supers next year, or they're going to win the World Series in baseball, I'd be like, not a shock. They won it last year.
Right. Look at softball, for example. I think this is the best argument that there's not some grand conspiracy theory. Texas Tech cares the most about softball. How do we know this? Look at the 2025 softball transfer portal. It's like Tennessee player goes to Texas Tech. So, Alabama, Texas Tech. All the best players are going to Texas Tech. Why? Because they're putting the money, time, energy, and effort into that sport where no one else really is. So next year, they're probably going to win the national championship in softball. This isn't rocket science. At least this shouldn't be. Why is Stanford so good at all the non-Olympic sports? Because they put more energy, money, effort, and time than anyone else.
Mm-hmm. And the Trojan fight brings up mostly just the money. And Daryl's
Yeah, but if you don't have the energy, time, or effort, you're not going to get the money. You have to have those three. The money is just a byproduct of those three things. If Ohio State's fan base had as much fan favor and was as flaky as Vanderbilt's fan base, would Ohio State be a great football program? No. Because the first, they'll be like, oh, we only care when our team's good, and when our team's bad, we're going to be a baseball program. What makes teams great is you are diehard through the thick and thin. And that's what, look at Michigan, for goodness sake. Even when they're bad by their standards over the last 20 years prior to 2021, they were still one of the best fan bases in the Big Ten. That's why they were able to eventually turn it around and win, allegedly, a national championship. This isn't hard to figure out. There's a reason it wasn't who's a random Illinois, for example, or Indiana that won the football national championship, even though Illinois has been a better place in some of those years than Michigan. This isn't hard. This isn't rocket science. At least to me, none of what I'm saying is super radical, but for a lot of people, it's like, whoa, he just said that? I just don't get it.
And what I think, too, Daryl, is the diehard fans are going away, which is sad. The people like me, Jackson, you, Jeffrey, Will, Mark, the people that are diehards, that are there for our team when they're at their worst, those people are going away surely but slowly. And I think, and that's what is driving the sport. It's the casual viewers. It's the casual fan. Because all they care about is winning, 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 winning. Unlike us, Daryl, how many bad seasons have you suffered through in football? How many have I suffered through in basketball and football? How many has Jackson suffered through watching Alabama basketball? Like Daryl, they were struggling to win 10 games a lot of years of basketball. I mean, and like you said about Michigan and their fan base, it's like the diehards are still there, but it's getting harder and harder to find.
But my point, though, Jack Austin, is when a Virginia is bad, when a Virginia Tech's bad, when Kentucky's bad, look at the stadium. Compare that when Michigan's bad. Compare that when Penn State's bad. Compare that when Alabama could legitimately be 2-10, and I still think they're going to have 85,000 fans in the seat. It literally just means more to those people than it does in Kentucky. It just does. And why do they win? Because it means more. And you don't have, I do agree that there are some diehards going away. The ratio of diehard fans within the elite programs are still plenty more than these average to below average Power 4 programs. there are still more diehard Ohio State fans than there are diehard TCU fans. That's why they're doing better than TCU. I mean, to me, this is just like saying like basic facts and basic sentences. This is like saying the Earth is round to me. How obvious this is.
Well, and what I want to say too is to real look at Nebraska, right? They were a blue blood at one point, and then in these past couple years, they've had a treacherous history. But that fan base, Darrell, never once left their side. You realize that? They still fill that stadium every Saturday. Every Saturday. So if people
Right.
want to...
And that's why eventually they're going to turn it around. I don't know how long eventually it's going to be, but they are going to turn it around and by turning it around, they're going to be one of the 5 best programs eventually in the Big Ten because their fans just care more. Now, it may take, for some programs, there are some specific details like Nebraska's 500 miles, I think, from a major city, whereas, Michigan, Michigan's in Ann Arbor, for goodness sakes, Columbus, Ohio's in Columbus. So within the elite programs, there are certain advantages, but when you get down to the middle tier, as long as you have more passion, energy, time, and effort, and money, you'll move to the top much easier. It's a lot easier. It's similar in college football as well. It's a lot easier going from 2-10 to 8-4. But going from 8-4 to 11-1 is much harder. Much harder.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing when I'm talking about with here. Exact same concept.
And I will say this too, Drew.
Well-
and I want Jackson. Yeah, go ahead, Jackson.
Yeah, I was gonna say, anything else tonight before we get to our next thing right quick?
Yeah, final thing to kind of finish this point, to bring up what Trojan Fight said. There's a reason they're taking Western Michigan to Germany. And it's because the Michigan fan base is going to do numbers in Germany. There's a reason it's not a Big 12 team. There's a reason it's not at most of the ACC, except for, Clemson, Miami, Florida State. The big brands do better because they have more time, money, energy, and passion than everyone else. And I'm so excited for the people of Germany. They finally get to see a 45-7 football game. I mean, I'm sure that's just what they've been craving for their entire lives is, man, I can't wait to see Western Michigan lose by 35 points. So congrats to them. I'm sure Jackson, please be an on-field reporter for the game. The voice of college football, we probably need to go international at some point. So
I probably need a pay raise for that.
You're telling me the, like 20 billion views that video would do isn't enough for you?
But in all seriousness, I'd think about it. Like, I'd be like, what the hell? It's college football week 0. I need all the college football I can get.
I got you. Final thing on a more serious.
I have another game besides that for week 0.
Oh, absolutely. Final thing I'll say is Jeffrey doing okay?
Oh yeah, he's all good. Yeah, he was doing a live stream with Will tonight, man.
Okay, that's good to know. Well, thanks for having me on for so long. I saw I got Timothy upset, so apologies to him. I didn't, obviously I didn't get anybody to come to call in and challenge them. I'm more willing to take it on, but I didn't mean to get them upset. So thanks for having me on, Jackson Austin. I appreciate it. And I can't wait for UCF or Houston to win the Big 12.
Oh, Lord. Darrell put that on us. Thanks, Darrell. Listen, we love our guy, Darrell. We really do. But my gosh. So before we end the show tonight, excuse me. So let's take one rundown look through our predictions. Here's mine. I have Arizona State over Kansas State. Jackson, here's kind of the look through on his real fast. He has Kansas State over BYU. Overall, Jack, our Big 12 predictions. How confident are you in yours? I'm like 45% confident in mine. What about you?
More like 70% confident.
Okay, you're more confident than I am. I'm like 45, 55 right now. I'm
Although,
less
like last
confident.
year, a lot of my predictions in the Big 12 sucked.
I did Jackson, like Drill said, the Big 12 is the conference of oh no, not this again. Not doubling down on
8 and
Kansas
4
this year, Jackson.
8 and 4 is good enough for him.
No, yeah, Troy B.
like,
As you can tell, Jackson loves Kansas. He loves him some Jayhawk. Like at least he didn't pick him to go to the Big 12 championship. At least you did see that. But I will say this.
oh
Though,
God, I did. I
though
did
this,
pick him go to the Big 12 title last year. And I was like,
yeah,
oh
yeah, Jackson. We didn't do predictions for it, but if we did, I would love to have had that moment. I would have clipped it. But that was our Big 12 predictions. So let us know what you think of them. I mean, and you can let us know down in the comments as well what you think of it. And this is just the first of many predictions. So this is the Big 12. Monday night, we are going to be doing the ACC. Next up on the docket.
ACC.
And then Wednesday night, we will be doing the Big 10. And I know people may say, well, there's some bias because we're doing the SEC next Friday. But the Big 10, we will have a special guest, which we will announce once we get times and everything set up. But he is a very, very great Big 10 analysis. He loves Nebraska football. Well, possibly two of them. And they're going to give their analysis with us on the Big 10. So stay tuned for that. And then next Friday night, we're going to be back in the SEC. And then somewhere when the preseason top 25 comes out, I know there was a couple people saying, are we going to do our live reactions or do one ourselves? If you all want to see that still, let me and Jackson know, and we will do a live stream about the preseason top 25, give our takes on it, maybe take your calls if you would like to see that.
The
Let us
AP
know.
preseason top 25 will be released on August 12th at noon Eastern time. But Crimson Tide Live is on 7 p.m. Eastern time. So we could plan something a few hours after Crimson Tide Live.
Yes.
On that.
Very much good. Very much. And Wolverine Gage has an interesting question. What
Utah.
team in the Big 12 do? I'll say for me, Colorado. I think for me, Colorado. I think they'll be a team that surprises everyone. But that's what we got coming down the docket. So get prepared. You are going to see these two faces the next couple days over and over again, and you're going to get tired of us, and you're going to tell us, go away. But that's okay. We can handle it. We're big boys. But you want to know something, though? What is always great and what is always a welcome sight. And Jackson does this 2 times a week. Well, currently 3 as a substitute host, but Alabama at the Voice of College Football. You've got Alabama primetime. You've got the Collins Show with him and Jeffrey. You've got him, Johnny, Jeffrey, and whatever other guests they want to wrangle in. The poor schmucks never stood a chance dealing with 3 Bama people. But that's another story for another day. You've got Crimson Tide Live. It's all right there at the Alabama, the Voice of College Football. It's a great show. I suggest you all check it out. But Jackson is the wizard with the menace. The wizard with the power, and he will tell you what's coming up next on Alabama, the Voice of College.
Well, we did.
Do your thing.
Well, earlier today, we went over our take on Alabama flip. Well, I did. And I was like watching the second Happy Gilmore while this was happening, right? Then I find breaking news. Bear Fretwell, we have flipped him from Georgia Tech to come over to Alabama. And we always say in our fight saw that we send the Yellow Jackets to a water grave. Well, we did it today as I went over my instant reaction to Bear Fretwell, the 6'7" offensive tackle, being flipped from Georgia Tech to the Alabama Crimson Tide. Let me tell you something. that was a fun video going over my take on that. And plus, kind of beats being miserable in that miserable Alabama heat. So that was what we did today. And you know, Jeffrey and I take your calls Thursday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday nights. And, Crimson Tide Live's on 7 p.m. Eastern time. You'll know what we have wrangled out on Alabama with the Voice of College Football, but we've gained 170 subs throughout June and July on Alabama with the Voice of College Football, and that's all courtesy of you. Thank you all so much for getting this channel rocking and rolling. We're going to get to 3,000 subs. We can get there before the end of September, I believe, or we can get there before the end of October, but either way, it's going to be a wild, wild ride. All right there on Alabama at the Voice of College Football. Tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers and pubs about the magic that Jeffrey, Coach Burks, Coach Smoke Hines, Manny Wilson, and myself are all bringing to you on Alabama at the Voice of College Football. And, of course, you can check me out on Alabama on my personal channel here on Jackson Johnson 979. I'm going to have to change that link at some point, but you can tune in for my next 2 episodes of the Jacksonian, where I'll be filming with Christian Rowe from Locked On Kansas State for episode 76, as we'll be discussing a lot about K-State football and a little bit about the NFL as well. And then I'll be filming episode 77 of the Jacksonian with Jordan Bowman and Tiger Paul Craven, as we will be telling everybody about their 4th season continuing on at Clemson Live on Clemson at the Voice of College Football. You want to talk about some top-notch hosts? We've got some top-notch hosts for Jordan Bowman and Tiger Paul Craven, and you're going to love what they bring as we'll be filming that. It could be a live show. It could be pre-recorded, but if you want to know whether we're going to see, if you're going to see it live or pre-recorded, that's why you like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell on my channel, all right here on Jackson Johnson 979. And you can check out, see what I have to say on Jackson VOCFB on @/Twitter and Instagram and Threads at Jackson Johnson 543908 and on Jackson Johnson 97 Blue Sky at Jackson Johnson 97 Blue Sky Social, where my friend Mike Debate says where the skies are blue. Some say the skies are overcast. Some say the skies are gray. I say to each their own. But one thing's for sure, on all those platforms, I tell y'all about what I've got coming down the pike on Alabama with the Voice of College Football, the Jacksonian, and much more with the magic I'm making with this man, the magic I make with Will and D, Jeffrey on Talk Sports, and anybody else that you see me come in contact with, all right there. Austin, what you got going on, good buddy?
So this week, obviously, I'll be, like I mentioned, this week, obviously, I've been putting out a lot of shorts of recent past interviews with Tuss Talk with Ty Hudson. We preview the Rams, Justin Adams on our Houston Texas preview, Gabriel Pickup. I've been putting out a lot of shorts, posting out videos as well on my YouTube channel, Sports Talk with Austin 2002 as well. And like I said, I'll be doing a lot more stuff with Jackson, as well as we are predicting conferences, going over who the ACC, the Big Ten, the SEC, doing preseason top 25s. We've got it all here for you, folks. And it ain't stopping anytime soon. Me and Jackson, we're creating magic here. And since you all are here with us, all 84 of you, that lets us know you all do really like us. Maybe not all of you, but most of you like us. But you also follow me on X/Twitter, whatever you like to call it, as well on Austin W1980 2639. I got to change that handle too when I get a chance. I keep trying to remember to do it, but I forget. Anywho, just like Jackson, we all got things to do. But you follow me over there where I post about upcoming videos. I post about what me and Jackson are up to and things about Louisville and wrestling. Whatever you like, I tweet about it. I'm a very calm individual. Except when Jackson ticks me off with LSU. Now, when he does that, then he gets me going. But no worries though. but that's where you can find me as well. And most importantly, if you are enjoying the show and you do like the content we're bringing you, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you never miss another live stream, a great video, and you stay up to date with me and Jackson as much as possible, because you never know when news can break and me and Jackson might go live. Like Daryl said, hit the like button, and you never, ever, ever know what can happen in the crazy world of college football. But with that being said, we will see you Monday night for the ACC predictions. Strap in, folks. College football is around the corner. It's coming. Get ready. But until then,
28,
go ahead, Jack.
28 days till kickoff. Let's go.
Go Cards.
Roll Tide, everybody.